Good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you, even on this very smoky, smoggy morning. Hopefully things will clear up later in the week. Talking of later in the week, annual conference happens this week, starting on Thursday and runs through Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And on Sunday morning, the service of commissioning and ordination will be happening. And our dear friend, Reverend Marcia Evans, will be received into the Covenant of United Methodist Clergy. You'll find the link for connecting to that service on Sunday morning at 10:30 on the printed part of this message. Coffee hours will continue at 10 and 11:30, and I'm grateful for Kath Fenimore Brown's leadership as she will be hosting. A reminder too, please, for those of you who may be getting a little behind in your financial support for the church. Last couple of months we have been a little behind, so it would be great if we could catch up. In several sermons in recent weeks, I've been stressing the fact that just because we're confined at home during these days, and especially during the season of polluted air, that it doesn't mean that we can't remain active in working to build God's beloved community here in Sacramento. And I wanted to share a few examples of how St. Mark's members are making that real. A couple of weeks ago, Al Arthur was taken into the hospital. He's now back home and he's doing okay. And there was a crisis that happened that took him to the hospital. And his wife, Pat, I knew would be really worried because she wouldn't be able to go and see him in the emergency room. So I made a rare pastoral call to see Pat. And after we'd spoken about Al's situation, I asked Pat how she would keep herself occupied as she stayed home and worried about her dear Al. Her answer was that she was writing a long letter to Sheriff Scott Jones to tell him how much she disapproved of his actions and how her support for channeling money away from the Sheriff's Department to other agencies could help homeless and mentally ill people. She was disapproving of the county budget, and she wanted to help homeless and mentally ill people rather than arresting them or risking violence. She found that channeling her dissatisfaction into action was a healing activity for her in the midst of her own personal crisis. Last week, 3 members of our advocacy team kept vigil with the Board of Supervisors, meeting as they considered their budget for the fiscal year just starting. Karen Humphrey, Mike Jaskey and Rick Eaton all stayed on hold on the phone for hours waiting for their opportunity to speak, and they did speak from their homes. And they were appealing for a shift in budget priorities also. Rick said this: "Our communities are facing 5 crises tonight: the pandemic, and an economic crisis, an impending eviction crisis, a crisis of confidence in our current approaches to law enforcement, and a climate change crisis that's obvious to all of us. It's simply irresponsible and a failure of leadership," Rick said, "to ignore these crises and adopt a business as usual approach without significant changes." Amen, Rick, is what I say. And thanks to all who are part of our ongoing work to bring significant reform to the Board of Supervisors. We certainly need a higher quality of leadership leading to God's beloved community here in Sacramento. Our member and good friend Al Vopata recently celebrated his 80th birthday and did so by sending an op-ed to the Sacramento Bee, which they published on Wednesday, August 28th. You may have seen it. Well done, Al. Al wrote eloquently about the terrible history of racism through the history of slavery in the United States and the racism that has continued for generations since. Al says this: "Are we going to remain slaves of our history, or are we going to free ourselves from malicious injustices in America's past?" He said, "It can be done if we apply Reverend King's and President Obama's transforming values in our lives. He goes on to say, we now have thousands of asylum-seeking immigrants concentrated in camps at our southern border, including many children who are apparently being punished by being separated from their parents in deplorable, wretched conditions. No Christian nation, says Al, can tolerate this tyrannical treatment. Well said, my friend. A team of more than 20 people has been writing postcards to people in states where large numbers of people have been removed from the voter rolls without their knowledge. And the postcards remind them that they need to re-register so that they can vote. This is really an excellent activity and has become part of a huge activity across the nation where literally millions of postcards are being sent. And this is a bipartisan effort. There are many other letter writing, phone calling, emailing efforts going on as members of our community seek to bring healing, seek to bring compassion, seek to bring justice to the world. And I say thank you all. This Friday for our Jewish siblings is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, which for them is as big a celebration as Easter or Christmas are for Christians. So please remember our Jewish friends, and especially as they struggle to celebrate in very strange circumstances without being able to go to temple and meet with friends. I close with a prayer from the Rosh Hashanah liturgy. Would you pray with me, please? God, you spread out the heavens and established the earth. You are our God. There is none else. In truth, you alone are our sovereign God, as it is written. Know then this day and take it to heart. The Eternal One is God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is none else. Eternal God, we face the morrow with hope, made stronger by the vision of your deliverance. A world where poverty and war are banished, where injustice and hate are gone. Teach us more and more to respond to the pain of others, to heed your call for justice, that we might bring nearer the day when all the world shall be one. On that day the age-old dream shall come true. On that day, O God, your name shall be one. You shall be one. So in the name of the one God that we share not only with the Jews but the whole human family, I pray that this may be a week of blessing for you, in which you bring God's peace and God's justice to your own life and to the world. Amen.